My name is Amelia Van Kirk, 29 years old, and here is how my story begins quietly, almost peacefully, before everything detonated in a way I never saw coming. Andrew Carter and I had been together for 2 years, the kind of relationship that felt stable in the way you only appreciate once it's already slipping through your fingers. We worked in different departments at the same company, which kept things clean and uncomplicated. He was steady, warm, thoughtful. At least that is who I thought he was. The cracks didn't start with him, at least not directly. They started with his 3 closest friends, women, who were practically fused together as one collective personality: Vanessa Holt, Brittany Langley, and Madison Cole. A trio so inseparable that the phrase, "my friends" for Andrew, really meant these 3 women who have known me since college and believe they know what is best for me. I tried to get along with them. Really, I did. At the beginning, it was civil. Occasional brunches, polite conversations, nothing dramatic. But around 6 months ago, something shifted, subtle at first, like whispers through a wall I couldn't quite hear. It began with comments that seemed harmless. Working late again, Vanessa would ask Andrew while looking directly at me as if she were checking for guilt. "Must be nice to have that kind of flexibility," Madison added, whenever Andrew mentioned I met deadlines or stayed focused at work. Even Brittany, quieter but sharper, chimed in once when I left early to meet Andrew. Some people get to live the dream. Andrew laughed them off, not noticing the tightening in my chest every time their eyes lingered. At first I did too, but over time their tone changed. A little too pointed, a little too knowing, and Andrew started acting differently as well. He began asking where I was more often, who I was meeting, whether I could send a picture if I said I was with a coworker. None of it aggressive. Just small questions, probing little checkpoints that seemed innocent enough. I told myself it was just curiosity, maybe even care. Looking back, I should have known better. One afternoon, Andrew came home looking uneasy. His friends had taken him out for brunch, their weekly ritual, and when he walked through the door, I could feel the tension radiating off him. "Amelia," he said, standing in the kitchen doorway, "we need to talk." My stomach tightened. That phrase never leads anywhere good. He asked me straight out if I was seeing someone else. For a second, I thought he was joking. I laughed. "Andrew, what? No. Why would you think that?" He hesitated before saying, "The girls notice things. You've been different. On your phone a lot more, and sometimes you smell like cologne that isn't mine." I stared at him. The confusion turned into disbelief, then anger. "I work in a building with dozens of people, half of them men. Maybe that's what you're smelling." He didn't look convinced, but he dropped it at least temporarily. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. A few days later, I came home early and found Andrew sitting on the couch, face pale, eyes red. He was holding his phone, gripping it as if it were the only thing anchoring him to reality. "Andrew, what happened?" He looked at me with this terrible mixture of hurt and certainty. "Just tell me the truth, Amelia. Please." "About what?" "Vanessa saw you yesterday at the Italian restaurant downtown with a man. You were holding his hand." My brain froze. Then it clicked. "Andrew, that was my brother Daniel. He was in town for 2 days. I told you we were getting dinner. I literally texted you from the restaurant." I grabbed my phone and pulled up our messages. There they were. Dinner plans with Daniel, the photo I sent Andrew, his heart emoji reply. Crystal clear, time-stamped. He looked at the messages, then at me, but doubt still clouded his face. "Vanessa said you were holding hands." "We were looking at apartments on his phone," I said, incredulous. "He wants to move here next year. Andrew, call him right now." He didn't. He just sat there repeating that his friends were concerned, that they noticed patterns, that they didn't want him hurt again. The more I denied, the more defensive he said I sounded. The angrier I got, the more he insisted that guilt was making me emotional. We argued for over an hour, neither of us backing down, neither of us hearing the other. It was one of the worst nights of my life. When morning came, Andrew sent a single text, "I need space to think. I'm staying with Vanessa for a few days." That was the moment I felt the ground tilt under me. Space is rarely space. It is usually an exit being prepared behind your back. I tried calling him. He declined. I texted again. He replied hours later telling me he needed time with the girls. The girls. They had completely surrounded him. 3 days passed without a word until he finally called. His voice was flat, drained of all the warmth I had known. "I can't do this anymore, Amelia. I can't be with someone I don't trust." "Andrew, I've never given you a reason not to trust me." "That's what people say when they're hiding things. The girls helped me see the patterns. I deserve better." He hung up. Then he blocked me. everywhere. Just like that 2 years of love effort and memories evaporated, replaced by suspicion planted by 3 people who barely even knew me. I spent that night in bed, jaw clenched, eyes burning, staring at my ceiling and feeling hollow. Not just because I had been accused of something I didn't do, but because Andrew, the man who claimed to love me, believed 3 women over me without a single piece of real evidence. And that I thought was the end. I was wrong. It was only the beginning. The morning after Andrew ended things, I moved through the world like I was underwater. Everything felt muffled. Colors were dull sounds, distant. Work emails blurred together. I stared at screens and forgot what I was doing halfway through tasks. People asked if I was okay, and I lied automatically. Just tired. That night, my friend Trevor Hayes came over with takeout and a 6-pack. Trevor and I had been friends since university. No romance, no ambiguity. Just the kind of friendship built on too many all-nighters and shared playlists. He listened while I explained everything. The Italian restaurant, my brother, the texts, the accusations, the space, the breakup. Trevor shook his head slowly. Those friends of his sound toxic as hell. Vanessa Holt, Brittany Langley, Madison Cole. I did not like the way they looked at you the one time I met them, like they were evaluating you for a job you did not apply for. I let out a bitter laugh. Apparently they decided I failed the interview. He grew serious. I do not understand why Andrew Carter believed them over you. You literally showed him proof. Because they have been whispering in his ear for months, I said quietly, and he let them. I guess that is who he trusts. Trevor stayed late, letting me cry, letting me rant, letting me sit in silence when I ran out of words. When he finally left, I felt, not better exactly, but less alone. The next morning, my phone rang with an unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail. At the last second, I answered. Hello. Hi, is this Amelia Van Kirk? A man asked. Yes, who is this? It is Derek Hughes, Brittany Langley's fiancé. We met at that barbecue last year. I brought the overcooked burgers. I remembered him polite, slightly awkward, clearly overshadowed by Brittany's personality. Right. Hi. Is everything okay? He exhaled heavily. I do not think so. I need to tell you something about Andrew and, well, about Brittany, Vanessa, and Madison. My heart started pounding. What about them? Brittany came home drunk last night from Vanessa's place, Derek said. She was on the phone with Madison Cole laughing. I overheard some of it. At first I thought it was just gossip, but then I realized they were talking about you, about Andrew, and about how they set everything up. My grip on the phone tightened. What do you mean, set everything up? They admitted they made it all up, he said, voice shaking with anger. The cheating, the perfume, the restaurant story, all of it. They wanted to see if Andrew would choose them over you like some twisted loyalty test. And he did. So in their words, they won. For a second, I genuinely could not breathe. The air felt thick, like my lungs had to fight for it. What I whispered. I recorded part of it, Derek continued. I know that is not exactly noble, but I was horrified. I could not believe what I was hearing. I thought you should have it. You deserve to know. Can you send it to me? My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Yes, I am texting it now. Amelia, I am really sorry. This is disgusting. I am honestly questioning my entire relationship with Brittany right now. If she can do this to her best friend's relationship, what else is she capable of? A notification popped up on my screen audio file from Derek Hughes. Got it, I said. Thank you, Derek. Really? Yeah, he replied quietly. Good luck. You did not deserve any of this. We hung up. My hands were shaking as I pressed play. Brittany's voice flooded my living room, drunk but horrifyingly clear. And Andrew actually believed us, she giggled. No questions. None. We barely had to try. Madison laughed in the background. I told you he would. Once we planted enough doubts, he was done. That restaurant thing was genius, Vanessa. Vanessa's voice cut in smug. It was not even hard. I saw Amelia's story with her brother at that Italian place and thought perfect. I just had to say I saw her there with a man. I knew Andrew Carter would not call to check. He trusts us. We have been priming him for months. Brittany snorted. The perfume was my favorite. Madison Cole practically bathed in it at that work event. Stood right next to Amelia in the elevator. I bet he noticed that smell every time she came home. More laughter, glass clinking. And the best part, Madison Cole added, is that now he is free. More time for us. No more Amelia drama. We saved him. 3 minutes of audio. 3 minutes of them laughing, mocking, bragging about how easily Andrew believed them, how they twisted every normal thing I did into evidence. I listened to it again and again. Each time the anger burned hotter, sharper, not just at them, but at Andrew. At the fact that these three women could fabricate an entire narrative, and he swallowed it without even taking a breath to ask me honestly, fully, deeply. Trevor came over the moment I texted him. I played the recording on speaker. He sat back slowly, eyes widening. "This is not normal," he said quietly. "This is not just immaturity. This is calculated." "I have to show Andrew," I said. My voice shook, but my resolve did not. He needs to hear what he chose over me. Trevor looked at me carefully. "Do you want him back?" The question hung in the air. "I do not know," I admitted, "but he deserves to know the truth, and I deserve to say it to his face." Trevor nodded. "Then show him. But do not decide about taking him back until you calm down. You are hurt, reasonably so. Do not let that decide your future." I took a breath and used Trevor's phone to message Andrew since I was still blocked. "This is Amelia. I have something you need to hear about Vanessa Holt, Brittany Langley, and Madison Cole. Meet me at the cafe by your office tomorrow morning, or I will send it to your work email." An hour later, Trevor's phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. I answered. "Hello." "What do you want?" Amelia Andrews' voice. Tired, defensive. "To show you something," I said. "Cafe by your office, tomorrow morning." Silence. Then grudgingly, "Fine, but only so you will stop dragging this out." "Deal." The next morning I arrived early, ordered coffee I did not drink, and sat in the back where I could see the door. The cafe hummed softly with background conversations and the hiss of steaming milk. My heart hammered against my ribs with every customer who walked in. When Andrew finally arrived, he looked exhausted. Dark circles under his eyes, jaw clenched. He did not order anything, just came straight to my table and sat down across from me. "Make this quick," he said. I did not bother with small talk. I took out my phone, opened the audio file from Derek Hughes, and pressed play. I watched his face as he listened. At first confusion, then recognition, then a slow, dawning horror. His shoulders tensed, his eyes widened, his hands resting on the table curled into fists. When it ended, the silence between us pulsed. "That," he started, voice rough. "That cannot be real." "It is real," I said evenly. Derek Hughes recorded it. He called me because he was disgusted. He sent me the file. "Maybe it is out of context," Andrew tried weakly. "What context?" I asked. My voice trembling with anger makes what you just heard okay. He had no answer. "Andrew." I continued, forcing my voice to stay steady. "They admitted they made everything up. The cheating, the perfume, the restaurant, all of it. They spent months setting you up to doubt me, and you let them. You believed them over me every single time. They were trying to protect me," he said, but the conviction was gone. "Protect you from what I demanded. From a woman who loved you and never gave you one real reason not to trust her. I showed you proof it was my brother at that restaurant. I have never hidden my phone. I have never done anything suspicious. But one word, one lie from them, and you threw away 2 years without a real conversation." His eyes glossed with tears. I do not know what to say." "Then listen," I said. "You chose them. Not just once. Not just in a moment of panic. For months. You let them whisper, let them poison you, let them redefine reality for you. And when they finally pulled the trigger, you did not hesitate. You believed them immediately." "I am sorry," he whispered. "Amelia. I am so sorry. I made a mistake. I should have trusted you. I should have called your brother. I should have asked you instead of letting them fill my head. Please. Can we fix this? I will cut them off. I will block them. I choose you. I should have chosen you from the beginning." A cold, quiet anger settled over me. "You choose me now," I said softly, "after Derek Hughes recorded them. After you heard them admit it. After you knew for a fact that they lied. But you did not choose me when it mattered. You chose them. You believed them without proof. That is not love, Andrew. That is not even respect." "People make mistakes," he said desperately. "I made a terrible one, but I am owning it now." "This is not a spilled drink or a missed date," I replied. "You accused me of cheating. You ended our relationship over lies. You blocked me. You let 3 women decide what was true about your partner." He swallowed hard. "Is there anything I can do?" "Right now," I said. "No. Because the truth is, I do not trust you either. Not anymore. If Derek Hughes had not called me, you would still think I cheated. You would still be with them, probably laughing about how they saved you from me. I would still be the villain in a story they wrote for their own entertainment." Tears slipped down his face. "Amelia, please." I stood up. My legs felt unsteady, but my decision did not. "I hope you learned something from this, Andrew," I said quietly. about who your friends really are, and about what trust actually means. But I am not going to be the one you practice on. I walked out of the cafe without looking back. That afternoon, my phone rang again. A different unknown number. Hello, Amelia. This is Margaret Carter, Andrew's mother. Her tone was controlled, but I could hear the anger simmering underneath. I heard what happened with you and Andrew. He told me about the recording. Of course he did. Yes, I said, they lied, and he believed them. She exhaled sharply. Those women sound awful, truly. But Andrew regrets it. He apologized. He wants to work things out. You need to forgive him. Need to, I repeated. He made a mistake, Margaret Carter insisted. But he is owning it now. That is what matters. You cannot throw away 2 years over one bad decision. Be reasonable. If your husband accused you of cheating, I said calmly, believed his friends over you, with no evidence, ended your marriage over text, and then came back only after someone recorded his friends admitting they lied, would you just forgive and forget? There was a long pause. That is different, she said finally. How, I asked. Andrew is sensitive. He has been hurt before. He was protecting himself. By destroying our relationship based on lies, I asked. Margaret, I am not punishing him. I am responding to what he showed me about who he trusts. That is not something I can just pretend did not happen. You are being very cold, she snapped. I am being realistic, I replied softly. Your son chose to trust lies over evidence. That is not my coldness. That is his judgment. She gasped. How dare you talk about him like that? I ended the call and blocked her number. For the first time since the breakup, I felt something that almost resembled peace. I thought the worst was behind me. It was not. I thought blocking Margaret Carter would give me breathing room, a little silence after the storm. Instead, it lit a fuse I didn't realize was already burning. Within an hour, messages from unknown numbers began pouring into my phone, each one angrier, messier, and more venomous than the last. The first was short. You must feel so proud of yourself. A second message followed immediately. This is Vanessa Holt. You really think you're going to turn Andrew against us? We've been here since college. You've been here for 2 years. Who do you think he'll believe in the long run? I stared at the screen, a hollow laugh slipping out. I replied with 4 words, people who actually care. 10 minutes later, another number chimed. This is Brittany Langley. Derek and I are fighting because of you. You couldn't just move on quietly. You had to blow up our lives too. You're selfish. I replied, your relationship fell apart because Derek heard the truth about your behavior. That's on you. Then a third angrier text, Madison here. Andrew is better off without you. He deserves someone who isn't manipulative and dramatic. I didn't respond. Madison Cole thrived on conflict. Feeding her would be like tossing gasoline on an open flame. I set my phone face down and forced myself not to check it again. I made tea, paced my apartment, tried to read, but every few seconds my mind replayed that audio recording, the laughter, the smugness, the way they said Andrew was free now that I was gone. Free from what? From love, from stability, from a relationship that wasn't built on gossip and possessiveness. The longer I thought about it, the more the anger curled inside my stomach like a living thing. Around 7 p.m., my phone buzzed again, but this time the caller ID showed a name I recognized. Derek Hughes. I answered instantly. Amelia, he said, sounding exhausted. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Brittany and we're done. I didn't know what to say. I'm sorry, Derek. I'm not, he replied. Honestly, I've had doubts for years. The way she talked about people, the way Vanessa Holt could convince her to do anything. I just ignored it. But this crossed a line. She admitted everything. No remorse. Just said you were going to cheat eventually, and she was saving Andrew the heartbreak. My jaw tightened. That's ridiculous, I muttered. That's delusional, he corrected. Anyway, she's losing it. She's telling people you ruined her life, that you manipulated me, and that Andrew would have been happier if you'd stayed quiet. I rubbed my forehead, feeling the familiar pulse of an incoming headache. Thanks for the warning. Hang in there, he said. You didn't deserve any of this. After we hung up, I stared out my living room window for what felt like hours. My reflection looked like a stranger, tired, bruised, in ways that weren't visible. The next morning at work, things got stranger. My boss, Rachel Cunningham, called me into her office. Her expression was polite but uneasy. Amelia, I need to ask you something. She began carefully. Did something happen recently between you and Andrew Carter from accounting? My heart stopped. Yes, I said cautiously. We were together for 2 years and recently broke up. Rachel folded her hands. I received an email over the weekend. An anonymous complaint claiming you have been harassing Andrew at work, approaching him in the hallways, creating a hostile environment, using your seniority to intimidate him. I almost choked. What? That's completely false, Rachel. I haven't approached Andrew once since the breakup. If anything, I've avoided him. I figured the email had issues, she admitted, but HR requires we look into it. Do you have anything to prove minimal contact? Yes, I said instantly. I have texts. Only conversations have been when Andrew contacted me first. And we work in different departments. I barely see him. Good, she said. Forward everything to me. Between us, this looks like, well, someone stirring drama. My stomach sank. Vanessa Holt, or Brittany, or Madison. They've been harassing me since the breakup. Rachel sighed. Then this won't be the last incident. But don't worry, HR can handle it. Just document everything. I forwarded the messages immediately. By late afternoon, Rachel called me back. We traced the email to a building Wi-Fi network. It came from the floors belonging to Madison Cole's company. HR has already contacted their management. They're preparing to pursue trespassing and harassment charges. I wanted you to be informed. I exhaled, not relief exactly, more like the slow release of a pressure that had been steadily crushing my lungs. Thank you, I said. Really? After work, I went home, changed into comfortable clothes, and collapsed onto my couch. I didn't even turn on the TV. I just stared at the wall, letting the chaos of the last week wash over me. Then, as the sun was setting and the sky turned burnt orange, my phone buzzed again. Andrew. A simple text. Can we talk? I have something to show you. My stomach tightened. I sat there for 2 full minutes before finally typing here. He suggested the small park near our office, neutral ground. Against every instinct, every warning bell in my head, every ounce of self-preservation screaming, no, I agreed. We met just after 6 p.m. The park was quiet, mostly empty, except for a woman jogging with her dog. Andrew looked different, more serious, less defensive, like someone who had been forced to confront an ugly truth. Thank you for meeting me, he said softly. What did you want to show me? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. He held out his phone. Screenshots. Group chats, messages between Vanessa Holt, Brittany Langley, and Madison Cole. I didn't see them until today. I took the phone, and I felt my breath leave my body. There were hundreds of messages, spanning months. Vanessa, give it time. He'll doubt her. Amelia's too quiet. He'll start wondering what she's hiding. Brittany, she's boring. He deserves someone who isn't so basic. Madison, let's test her. See how she reacts. Andrew trusts us. We can guide him. Vanessa, ooh, I like that. How do we start? Date nights were scrutinized. Delayed texts were flagged as suspicious. Group-planned provocations. Deliberate perfume schemes. They mapped out exactly how to chip away at his trust until he cracked. And he had. I handed the phone back to him, my hands trembling. This, I said quietly, is worse than I thought. I know, he whispered, and I'm so sorry. I was manipulated, but I also let myself be manipulated. I let them twist things. That's on me. I looked at him, really looked at him. The remorse was real, the guilt heavy, but so were the consequences. I can't jump back into anything with you, I said. Even with this proof, even knowing they orchestrated everything, you still made the choice to believe them. That broke something. He nodded, tears shining unshed. I get it. I just wanted you to know the truth, and to know I'm done with them, all 3. That's good, I said gently, but cutting them off doesn't automatically fix what you did to me. Silence settled between us, heavy, honest, fragile. I understand, he whispered. I stood. I need space too, Andrew, not the kind you used. Real space, to figure out if I can even rebuild trust with you. Do you think there's any chance ever? He asked softly. I hesitated. My heart pulled in one direction. My logic pulled in another. I don't know, I whispered. And right now, that's the most honest thing I can say. I walked away without waiting for his reaction. It wasn't closure, but it was the first step toward healing. For the first time in weeks, the world felt quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet, like the moment after a storm when everything is still dripping and broken branches litter the ground. I didn't know what I wanted from Andrew anymore, or from myself. But I knew I needed distance. Real distance, not the performative kind he used as a weapon. 2 days passed without incident. 2 days where I almost believed the chaos was finally slowing down. Then came the knock on my apartment door. A sharp, repetitive, almost frantic pounding. I froze. Nobody knocked like that unless they were angry, desperate, or both. When I checked the peephole, my breath hitched. Vanessa Holt, alone. Her makeup was smudged, her eyes wide and wild, her hair pulled into a messy bun as if she'd been running her hands through it nonstop. I didn't open the door. I spoke through it instead. What do you want? Amelia, she said, her voice trembling but urgent. Please, just talk to me. I need to explain. There's nothing to explain. Yes, there is, she snapped, then composed herself as if catching her own slip. Look, I know things got twisted, but we didn't mean for it to go this far. We were just trying to protect Andrew. Protect him. The irony nearly made me choke. What you did wasn't protection, I said calmly. It was sabotage. Amelia, she pleaded, please, just open the door. No. Silence followed. A long, heavy one. Then I heard the smallest breaking in her voice, something like vulnerability, something like fear. You don't understand, she whispered. He's shutting us out. All of us. Because of you. Not because of me, I corrected. Because of what you did. Her breath hitched audibly. I just want to fix things. I want my friend back. Then you need to leave. Another long pause. Then she said in a voice that cracked, please don't ruin us. Us. Not Andrew. Not her friend group. Us. Her voice sounded more like a threat wrapped in emotion, a manipulation disguised as grief. I'm done with this conversation, I said. Goodbye, Vanessa. I stepped back. A beat later, I heard her exhale sharply, then walk away, her footsteps echoing down the hallway. I didn't know that she hadn't come alone. Not really. Because an hour later, there was another knock. When I looked this time, Madison Cole stood outside. Pale, stiff posture eyes, dead calm, like a person who never accepted she did anything wrong. I didn't open the door. She spoke through it. So you're ignoring us now. Really mature. I'm not interested in talking to you. Of course you're not, she scoffed. It's easier to play victim. My jaw clenched. Leave. We didn't do anything that crazy, she continued. People test relationships all the time. Honestly, you're overreacting. Overreacting. Sabotaging a 2-year relationship was minor normal. We hurt Andrew, she continued. All of us. But you're making it worse. He's depressed. He's confused. He's losing everything because you won't be flexible. Flexible. The rage in my chest flickered dangerously. Madison, you manipulated your best friend for entertainment. You betrayed him. You betrayed me. And you have the audacity to stand outside my door and blame me for the consequences. Silence. Then her voice dropped lower. We didn't want things to go this far. That's the second time I've heard that excuse today, I said. Just talk to Andrew, she said. Irritation cracking through. You're the only one he listens to now. Fix it. I'm not your cleanup crew. A huff, then footsteps retreating down the hall. I waited for the third knock. It came 20 minutes later. Brittany Langley. Her eyes were already red from crying. Her mascara streaked down her cheeks, and her breathing was uneven, frantic. Amelia, she sobbed, before I could even speak, please. Please just let me in. I'm begging you. No, I said firmly. Brittany, I'm not doing this. I lost Derek, she cried. He ended the engagement. He said I'm manipulative. And now he won't come home. I can't sleep. I'm on medication. My mom doesn't know what to do with me. You can't just leave me like this. You have to help me fix it. Her words hit me like cold water. Help her. She expected me, the person she intentionally hurt, to fix her life. Brittany, I said slowly, your actions caused your consequences. Not me. Not Derek Hughes. You. She sobbed harder, collapsing slightly against the doorframe. We were just trying to help Andrew, she cried. We thought he deserved better. We thought you were what I asked. My voice shook with something I hadn't let myself feel until now. What did you think I was? She hesitated, then whispered, not enough. Something inside me went terrifyingly still. And who I asked softly gave you the right to decide that? She had no answer, only tears. Go home, Brittany, I said, gently but firmly. You need to take responsibility, not project it. She sobbed harder, but I stayed silent. Finally, she left. Not gracefully, more like a broken shadow dragging itself away. When the hallway grew silent again, I went to my couch and sat down shaking. It felt like the end of a war, except the rubble was still around me. The next day, Andrew reached out again. Not with an apology, but with exhaustion. They came to see me today, he texted. All three. They said they were sorry. They said they were trying to fix things. I stared at the screen. Did you believe them, I typed? A pause. I don't know. That admission hit me harder than any insult. I responded, they're not sorry, Andrew. They're sorry they got caught. He didn't reply. Hours later, he finally sent a single message. Can we meet again? Against every instinct that had kept me alive through this nightmare, I agreed. We met at a quiet cafe this time. He sat across from me, hands wrapped around a mug he didn't drink from. I don't even know who I am anymore, he said quietly. Everything feels like a lie. It was, I said softly. But you trusted the wrong people. That's not a mystery. That's a choice. He winced. I know. You have to rebuild your judgment, Andrew, I continued. Not for me. For you. Because if 3 women can convince you to destroy your own relationship with 0 evidence, something deeper is wrong. Something you need to fix. He nodded, tears building again. I want to fix things with you. Eventually. If that's possible. I hesitated, then said what I hadn't said out loud before. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. He closed his eyes like the words physically hurt him. But that doesn't mean I won't try, I added quietly. Not yet. Not now. But maybe someday. He opened his eyes. It wasn't hope I saw there. It was relief. Soft, fragile, real. I'll work on myself, he whispered. No more blind trust. No more letting people think for me. I promise. I nodded slowly. Good. Because if you ever want a second chance with me, it won't be easy. You'll have to prove, truly prove, that you can think for yourself. I understand. We talked for another hour. About what happened. About how he felt. About how I felt. No accusations. No shouting. Just 2 broken people trying to find the truth between them. When we parted, it wasn't reconciliation. But it was something. A beginning. Or maybe an ending with slow edges. I didn't know yet. What I did know was that this wasn't the end of the story. Because 3 women who thrived on manipulation don't disappear quietly. And they weren't done with me. Not yet. For a while, everything went still again. An uneasy, hesitant quiet. The kind that isn't peace, but simply the pause between 2 thunderclaps. Andrew and I kept our distance, speaking only when necessary. A text here and there, nothing heavy, nothing emotional, just human. Civil, careful. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks where the world tried to reorganize itself after the explosion. And then everything detonated one final time. It started with a notification on my phone. Vanessa Holt, new post. Against my better judgment, I opened it. A bright pink background. Bold white text. Friendly reminder, men who isolate women from their friends are abusive. If he makes you choose between him and your girls, that's a red flag. Protect your circle. There were thousands of likes, hundreds of comments. The post had gone semi-viral. But what made my heart stop was the comment section where people who knew the truth started responding. Vanessa, weren't you the one who lied to Andrew? You manipulated him. This is pure projection. Tell them about the fake cheating story you made up. Vanessa fought back, deleting comments, blocking people posting defensive paragraphs about protecting her best friend from the wrong woman. But the truth was leaking through her fingers faster than she could delete it. Then, something I never expected. A comment from Rebecca Carter. Not Rebecca, the ex-girlfriend in the original story. This was Andrew's sister, someone who had never once taken a public stance, someone who barely used social media at all. Her comment was calm, sharp, and devastating. Friendly reminder, if your friends lie about your partner cheating to test your loyalty, they're not your friends. They're bullies. Andrew chose wrong, but he's correcting it now. It was like watching a stone drop into a lake and crack the ice. Because after that comment, the dam broke. Dozens of people chimed in. Screenshots leaked. Stories surfaced. Vanessa Holt's reputation, once the charismatic queen of her social circles, began to crumble. I wasn't celebrating. I wasn't even smiling. It didn't feel like a victory. It felt like the final domino falling. Later that day, Derek Hughes called me again. You were right, he said. The friend group's officially imploding. Vanessa's friends are finally seeing her for who she really is. Madison left the state yesterday. Brittany went back to her parents' house. Vanessa's blocked by half the people she knows. I let out a slow sigh. I didn't want this. I know, he said, but it was inevitable. When we hung up, I stared at the ceiling for a long time, letting the weight of it all settle. This wasn't just about Andrew anymore. It was about how fragile trust is, how easily it bends, how quickly it breaks. 2 more weeks passed. During that time, Andrew and I kept our distance, but he reached out occasionally. Not with desperation or apologies, but with slow, careful attempts at rebuilding. How's work? Thought you might like this song. Hope you're eating today. Small things, kind things. Then one morning he sent a longer message. Coffee just as friends. No pressure. I stared at it for a long time before replying. Okay. We met at a different coffee shop, this time neutral territory, quieter, without the ghosts of our breakup haunting the walls. When he saw me, he smiled. Not the bright, confident smile he used to wear, but something smaller, humble, honest. Hi, he said. Hi. We talked for 2 hours. Not about the chaos. Not about Vanessa Holt or Brittany Langley or Madison Cole. Not about the betrayal. We talked about work, about movies, about our families, about how he'd started therapy. Because I need to understand why I trusted them more than you. He didn't push for more. He didn't try to rewrite the past. He just talked. Over the next few weeks, it became a routine. Coffee once a week, talking without pressure, being familiar without being attached. Then a movie night. Then dinner with friends. Then a museum trip where he didn't touch me once, not even accidentally, because he respected the boundaries I'd set. And then finally, one evening, as we walked back to my car, he stopped beside me. "Can I ask something?" he said quietly. I turned to him. "What?" "Would you want to try again?" he asked. "Not jump back into things. Not pretend nothing happened. Just date slowly. Build it right this time. With honesty, with boundaries, with us actually communicating." My heart tightened, not painfully, just heavily. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I thought about everything: the betrayal, the manipulation, the hurt, the apologies, the growth, the change I had seen in him, real change, not performative regret. Finally, I said, "I need to think." He nodded instantly. "Of course. Take all the time you want." I went home that night and sat with my thoughts. I wrote in journals. I talked to Trevor. I even called my brother Daniel. The truth was simple. I still cared, I still hurt, I still feared, and I still hoped. A week later, I sent Andrew a message. "Let's try, slowly." His reply came instantly. "Thank you. I won't let you down again." And so we began again, not with naive optimism, but with cautious intention. We agreed on boundaries. Talk openly about doubts. Verify before assuming. No relying on others to interpret our relationship for us. Therapy for him, space for me, honesty for us both. Some days we struggled. Some days the past felt closer than the future. Some days the anger still simmered inside me, like an ember I couldn't quite stomp out. But he showed up, every time, every day, every moment he promised he would. 3 months later, we weren't perfect. Not healed, not fixed, but rebuilding. Brick by brick, step by step, with real effort and real accountability. Was it going to last? I didn't know. I still don't. But here's what I learned. Good people can be manipulated, but great people take responsibility and change. Andrew chose the hard path, the one where he has to prove himself through actions, not words. And I chose to give him that chance, not because I'm desperate, but because I saw real growth. Vanessa Holt sent one last message a month after losing everyone. "Karma's coming for you." I forwarded it to the police for documentation. She hasn't contacted me since. Life isn't a clean narrative with perfect heroes and perfect villains. But sometimes growth comes from the ugliest places. And love, real love, begins only when both people choose truth over fear and healing over ego. As for Andrew Carter and me, we're